Welcome back to Drunk Peers Review Beers Versus Edition. This is my co-host, Tyler Davidson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
So on this episode, what we do is we compare two like beers. Today we're going to compare, to see how good they are generally. But on this edition, it's going to be like how not good they are, I feel like. So we're going to tell you which is worse, Steel Reserve or Old English.
Give our best opinion, I guess. I mean, you were saying that there's a particular beef in a sense, like an underlying beef between the two.
Not like underlying beef. They're actually both made by Miller.
Okay.
That's why the labels are pretty much identical. Miller Coors, I guess.
I did notice, that has the same temperature label.
Yeah.
And,
so they even took the Coors thing of when it turns blue, it's ready to go.
Yeah, cold as the mountains.
Exactly. One tends to be more marketed towards your working class, lager type of
blue collar
style person. The other one's well known in the hip hop world.
Yeah. What's that? Like some sort of maybe like a corkscrew or something, but probably not. Probably shouldn't do that. But orange juice and Old English is something you hear all the time.
Yeah. I feel like every rapper's first album they put out, they're always talking about Old E, and then like the second album, when they get money, it's all like, pass the Cristal, where's the Courvoisier?
Yeah. Bottle, buy the whole bottle.
Remy.
Bottle for the model,
They like upgrade and shit.
Yeah, and I'll let you guys know that I didn't necessarily know this is what we are going to be drinking when I came over, so...
I should have filmed the reaction of when you saw the bottle.
I'm equally surprised. But whatever.
It needs to be discovered. Which is worse?
And that's a good point, is that I myself haven't drank either one of these in, I don't remember how long, to be honest.
Since you used to steal them before you were old enough?
Yeah, exactly. So this will be a nice, now that I would consider myself relatively fluent in at least craft beers, it'll be nice to kick it old school and kind of see what that palate kind of describes with these two here.
I would say both are probably hugely popular with people who hang out on railroad tracks a lot.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, nothing against you guys.
They're not watching, don't worry.
Old English comes first, Steel Reserve before.
So, let's dabble.
Yeah.
I like the new plastic bottles. How many ounces are these things? They're not the old 40s. You can't be 40.
Oh, yeah, 42.
42. It's even more.
42.
So we will not be drinking all these, or we would not be able to do another beer review after this. So
we'll see.
I'll send it home with Tyler.
That was the predetermined agreement between the two, is that I would get the rest of the beer. So
look at the head.
Look at that head. I want to pour. Can I pour mine?
You can.
I want to do the same style glass too.
Yeah. That way we can keep track of which is which.
All right. Cool. Headmaster Brian. I'm gonna see how the head forms with the side pour and see what the.
I'm trying to get as much carbonation out as I can so it goes down easier. There's a tactic.
This is my first beer review, so.
The less carbonation, the more swigability, as we call it here.
I've heard from one of my buddies too that the less carbonation is kind of how they do it in Germany. Especially with their big pints, they will free pour the beer straight down the middle and get as much head as possible. That way, for the same reason you mentioned, it's less filling in the gut and you can drink more at the end of the day.
That's right.
So that's what I've heard is that they do in Europe, if you guys want a little tip trick,
So I'll immediately notice the difference between pouring it the exact same way, the Old English versus the Steel Reserve. Much more head on this guy.
Super frothy.
Yeah, it's probably good anyway.
It's like a fine stout. It's like a...
So once I get through the 4 inches of head...
let me put some on mine first. Once I get through the 4 inches of head...
It's nice that you can put the cap back on, though, and keep swigging at a later date.
I had our first mishap there.
Oh, you're going to have to snort that with a straw.
Okay.
So.
Is that on camera or off?
Well, we got about the same amount out of each bottle, so that's good.
And I would say, especially for the particular style of drinking that you're doing with this beer, that having the cap returnable, you can seal it. If it does get shooken, it's not too big of a deal. I would say that this is a nice travel beer if you're into this brand, but at the same time, if you are the typical person who might be drinking something like this, then it's also really handy for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can put it right in your shopping cart and push it straight across town.
Not out the store, but straight out.
Like just all over town.
Yeah, I got some aftermarket rubber on mine, off-road style.
All right, which one we trying first?
I would say that I would consider myself more of a blue collar, so I'd probably try the Steel Reserve first.
All right.
So
That was this guy, right?
Yeah.
Nope, that's the...
No, Old English. Old
We
English
almost
is
mixed it up.
Wait, is it?
It is. This Steel Reserve. Because remember all the froth he had? That's how you can tell.
And did these bottles start this way the first time?
Nope, we had them switched.
Okay. Whew.
Throwing you off.
Jeez, I drank.
Baristas, you can't mess with their stuff.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
High class.
Smell it first.
Okay.
Oh, let's not smell it first.
I will say that it's kind of a classic traditional smell. You know, it does have like almost like the barley. It's got like a wheat fragrance to it, but not much more after like you'd expect with more of a hoppy beer.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that this is primarily wheat or barley, and not too many flavors added afterwards, I would say.
Yeah. It smells like that weird kid in school's cast to me.
It does, dude. It does. It has like when you like
It's
get
very
close,
musky.
but not super close, but like an inch and a half from the cast.
So you
get
kind of
that-
the plaster / musky.
Yeah, this is the moment I've been waiting for since I got here, so let's get
Let's
into
get
it.
in it.
You know?
Well, it's not as bad as I thought. It does taste like it smells, though.
I will say that I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
What it reminds me of is that at first, like when it's in your mouth and you swallow it, it's not distasteful, but when you get the aftertaste, it kind of has like a little bit of like an iron. Like if you were to, like the few times that I've tasted my own blood from wounds, hardcore wounds, in the past, it does kind of have that similar, like a sharp sting, I guess. I wouldn't call it a tart or a tang, but it does have like that kind of a metallic,
like tickles
vibe.
your tongue a bit.
Yeah, with radiation and things.
Right.
I will say though that it does have, at least mine, because I didn't do the free pour, it does have like a light complementary effervescence that comes from it. Just a good amount of bubbles. You can tell that it's not too much of an aggressive bubble. It's not like big bubbles forming in your mouth when you drink carbonated soda or something.
It tastes like an unwashed bubble butt to me, but I get what you're saying.
I would probably drink this if it was the only thing that was available.
Yeah. If you have $4 in your pocket and you need to get hammered, there's no better way to go than one of these two guys.
Something that I had noticed that I was surprised about is that these actually have pretty high alcohol content.
Yeah.
For just being beer.
Yeah.
I know that Corona and Pacifico, because those are the only two that I looked up with situations in the past, are about 5%. Which is a solid beer in my opinion. But I know that this one says right on the front that it's 7.5, and this one says on the corner that it's 8.1.
Yeah.
Which are very high percentages in my opinion for what would be considered a cheap beer.
Yeah.
You know?
And the color's very similar. I'm curious if the taste is going to be similar as well. But one interesting point is that they do call this one a malt liquor, which generally you don't call it a beer once it's over a certain alcohol percent. Which is why they call it a liquor, so a malt liquor for a reason. Right. But this one's just called a lager, which is just a beer. So, but it has higher alcohol content, so maybe it's just a marketing thing. I'm not sure.
That's
made from malted barley,
right? Because this one's lower percentage, referred to as liquor, but this one's still a beer, but it's higher percentage than the Old English.
Yeah, so it's probably just marketing, but it's interesting. Another interesting fact about Steel Reserve is on beerreview.com, it gets a 1.5 out of 5, which is not good.
All right. Okay. I mean, but it does say that it has exceptionally smooth flavor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that it does say it.
I mean, I would say that so far I haven't been displeased. Like preferentially, I would always choose a higher quality beer.
Yeah.
But for what it is and for the percentage that it offers, it would probably give you good feels.
The job done.
Yeah, it gets the job done. Good feels, and you can swallow it. You know, it's not a super big deal.
And it came out in 1994, and it tastes like this bottle's from 1994. So maybe they made a lot of it then. I'm not sure.
It's like, business is really good. Another batch. Let's go.
I had been saying for years that I didn't understand why beer companies didn't, so Coke will come out with, there's Coke, there's vanilla Coke, there's cherry Coke, there's
different versions.
Exactly,
styles
where you have the base and then you're just adding in another flavor to it to sell it as a completely different product.
Yeah.
Steel Reserve has done that, and now they have a pineapple, a peach, a raspberry, a watermelon, and a blackberry flavored Steel Reserve.
Is it still labeled as Steel Reserve?
It's Steel Reserve.
What?
It just has a different color label, and it has like fruit flavoring added. So, I mean, that's smart on their part. Probably a little more palatable than the regular base 211.
Yeah, right.
It's a man's beer. It is. I feel like I'm already growing a beard, and I've never been able to grow one.
And I just trimmed, and it's already getting scraggly over here. So, but I would probably, I'd give it a thumbs up for what it is and who it's marketed to.
Right.
I would say that I was expecting a more displeasurable taste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, but it's not good.
Yeah, I wouldn't go just sipping it to relax with my dinner, I would say, but if I was trying to get buzzed and only had, what'd you say, $4 for the bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
$4.10 here in Oregon.
What would you give the flavor rating like on a scale of 1 to 10? 5 being base level, like just it's okay.
I'd probably give the flavor pretty accurately described to the website. It's a 1.5 because it's not terrible, but it's nothing much more than that.
Right.
It's there and it's doable. I would say that I am pleased it's not, it doesn't have much of a flavor. Because if they were trying to go for flavor but also cheap, then it might end up with a really awkward in-between. But since it's just cheap without focusing too much on flavor, it's doable, it's mild, similar to water, but still has a faint kind of a beer alcohol-y flavor to it. So nothing too much higher, nothing too much lower than the 1.5, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. I'm right there with you. I'm going 1.5 out of 10 though, not out of 5. So yeah, not something I will probably ever drink again past this. Short of maybe comparing it to like a Colt 45 or one of those other, like a competitor's brand, because I think Anheuser-Busch makes that one. It's not as bad as I thought either. Still not great, but I could drink it.
You say steel, not great.
Steel, not great. So, what do you give the marketing on that guy?
To be honest with you, I would say that it's very sharp. It has everything you need to know, especially if you're in a pinch or you're looking for certain things like how much of either alcohol or volume.
Yeah.
It's labeled just right there on the label, super quick, super easy to figure out what's going on. You got the brand if you're looking for that. You have the ounces if you're looking for that. And then right next to in between the two, you have the alcohol percentage.
Right.
So it's very cut, it's very clean. The colors are mute and mild, so you're not going to necessarily be noticed if you are going around rocking with some Steel Reserve.
Plus, it's probably in a paper sack.
Probably in a paper sack, and it is recyclable, at least a little bit easier with the plastic. So I will give it that as well. I would say overall that it's an attractive design for the label.
Yeah.
So
I would say I like that they made a plastic 42-ounce bottle still have the can type look to it. You always got to give it to them on the when it's blue, it's cold marketing scheme. Because,
I looked at that plenty of times when I bought the beer from that particular.
I don't know which IQ level they were playing to with that, because I can tell if it's cold when I touch it and taste it, but I get what they're doing.
Right. They're like, oh, it's blue, ready to go.
I can see it from here.
Yeah,
I didn't even have to touch it.
Primo!
I don't know why we made him Southern, but
yeah, that's a good point too. Sorry
to anyone watching from the South.
But it's blue. I would, like we were talking. It kind of fits into a blue collar.
It does.
I don't really care too much what kind of frills come with my beer. I just want a decent beer that's going to give me a little buzz after work.
I love marketing, so I'm all gung ho. That's what makes me buy your beer, is if it jumps off the shelf to me compared to everything else.
Yeah, at least initially gets the grab, and then you will read the can and kind of make your decision after that. You know, so the marketing and design is really important when it comes to beer, and I would say that for the people that are looking for this, it pretty much fits the bill.
It's the Carlo Rossi of beers.
The color.
All right, so one last thing we got to rate, which is swigability. So you're gonna chug it and see what level of chuggability, I guess, swigability you
Swig
think
City,
it has.
baby.
Swig City.
Yeah, let's do it.
That is the best and only way to drink that beer.
I will say that it does, at least in that particular category, it really shines. Is that for me, even without giving the super heavy free pour to release a lot of the effervescence, that it still maintained in my chug, and I didn't have any negative effects myself. I probably will feel a little bit of a bubble that builds up over the next couple minutes, but as far as chugging it down, it's not too harsh. Sometimes you get those beers that are really bubbly, and as they're going down, you really notice it.
Yeah, like it feels like it's expanding the walls of your esophagus.
Yeah. Or like clinging to them and like bubbling as it goes down.
I guess it wouldn't be your esophagus because you're not really inhaling it, but you get what I'm saying.
No comment. But I would say that it is a nice amount of bubble, because when you do just drink it, you notice the bubble. It's a little tickle. But when you chug it, you don't notice it. So they really did a good job, probably not intentionally, but they did a good job creating a beer that had that effect, is where if you want to drink it and feel a little texture, you can, but if you want to chug it and avoid that, you can at the same time. So that's a nice little kudo to them.
For sure, Z's. So what about like on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you give that for swigability?
Swigability, I would say that it's probably like a 6.57, to be honest with you, because like I said, there wasn't really any negative negative impression when I drank it. It wasn't a distasteful flavor, because like we said, it's mild,
right?
And it wasn't too aggressively bubbly, like we just spoke, and it is 8.1%. So I mean, as far as what you're trying to accomplish when you are chugging a beer, I would say that this is probably one of the stronger areas that the Steel Reserve excels. For those reasons right there.
If you're trying to forget an ex-girlfriend, there's not much better.
Seriously, where have I been for the past couple of years, dude? I needed this a couple times. But yeah, I would say that chuggability is, swigability is fantastic on this beer.
I would put it up there with Coors Light. I feel like it's, one of those beers that goes down so easy, and the flavor's not too great. So it's one of those ones where you have like a 16-ounce can, and it takes you about 4 drinks to drink it on a hot summer day.
Yeah, especially with motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I would say, I don't know myself what the alcohol percentage on Coors is.
It's like 5.5, and that's the interesting thing, is this is so much higher, but the flavor does kick you in the tongue a little more than Coors Light does. So
right.
There's that.
And it does, a lot of what I would assume from what I've heard we talk about on this channel is more situational. You can take Steel Reserve into multiple different situations and it will perform differently. But I would say overall, it is an easy drinker, relatively cheap, with a decent high or buzz off of it as well.
Found at a lot of middle school playgrounds.
Exactly.
I don't know why.
From the janitorial staff and the kids themselves.
I'm not making accusations. I just noticed.
I'm from experience. But
I imagine the merry-go-round is a lot more fun with Steel
Reserve.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they serve these in cafeterias these days. So it's cheap. It's government cheap.
Should we move on to the old English 800?
I would say we should.
Do you want to do this entire segment in Old English? Thou art. That's about all I know. Let's just get into it. All right, I'm back. Your hostess with the mostest, Tyler Davison.
With the mostest, as well as just.
Anyway, so he had to take a quick bump off my toilet seat of cocaine. Now we're back.
Ripper off the back, ripper.
I feel like that's a must before you drink Old English. Is like
Yeah,
a
that's
good
more or
bump of
less
Coke.
when I heard that we were doing this. I actually, so.
All right. So as you know, we're about to review Old English 800 brand, another Miller-owned company. So before we get into this, in 2010 they were voted the worst beer.
Really?
Yeah. Not to put any preconceived notions in your eyes. It was 2010.
Yeah, so 2007.
So 2000. It's probably much better now. They haven't changed the recipe.
Same taste, different great look, you know, whatever. Same great taste, different look, how they put it.
So it was actually a Portland, Oregon company who used to own this.
Really?
In 1979, they came up with this exact recipe. I mean, Old English had been around through 3 other companies before that, but in 1979, they came up with this, like, specific 800 brand of Old English, and it then sold to Pabst.
Okay.
But it was a Portland company. Yeah, it was Blitz. What are they called?
Creed.
No, Blitz Weinhardt was the name of the company.
Weinhardt.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a popular last name or something.
Maybe
but,
could be the Henry Weinhardt.
Yeah.
Hey-o. All right, so let's give it a sniff.
Yeah, I want to sniff.
Let me get this beak in there. It smells a whole lot like Steel Reserve.
You know, and I'll tell you that it also has just a little bit of a come up on the smell, in my opinion. Like this,
slightly more malty,
you know,
smell.
Like I would say that although the Steel Reserve was Steel Reserve, that this is, for whatever reason, I haven't pinned it just yet. It's a little bit better accented smell.
It's a little more leathery.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get some leather in my mind.
Yeah. It's like you're sitting in an '86 Corvette with mold problems.
I was thinking an 800 Corvette.
Get it?
Get it? You're picking up what I'm throwing on the tarmac. B.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot smoother smell than the Steel Reserve.
Yeah.
The color's pretty much identical.
Yeah, I mean, you guys could probably see just from the bottles here that specifically on the light of the bottom section, it's pretty much the same. So it would be interesting to know, even though it's a secret recipe, what the real difference between these two is.
Yeah. I like that they make the opening of this like porn star dick wide, so you can really get your mouth around it, you know?
Yeah, right behind the gender, whatever you're accustomed to, you know?
Yeah. And so you just could just pour the whole thing down your throat without having to taste it.
Yeah.
Speaking of taste it, cheers.
Yeah.
Wow. Better to me than Steel Reserve. The aftertaste isn't as molesty on your tongue. It doesn't like Joe Biden you.
I will say that it's a little bit, what would be considered in the craft beer community, a little bit drier of a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in this case, it just kind of leaves your palate sooner and quicker.
Yes.
And with a little bit more of a texture in your mouth. Not created by the beer, but it just kind of like washes through.
Yeah.
And kind of clears everything out. It doesn't leave much to feel or taste after, which might be a plus.
Yeah.
You know.
It's been around since 1964 and probably still outsells most other beers, so it has that going for it. I mean,
how many freaking rap songs you heard with people just throwing out Old English?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's yeah, it's.
I mean, what do we got? I mean, we got at least primarily in the '90s, but you still hear plenty of rappers that are mentioning 800 English, oldie.
Yeah, if you can understand them with a fucking marble mouth shit going on.
All you hear is orange juice in English.
It's the only decipherable shit they say.
Yeah, right. But $1 million idea, I guess.
Except for Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah. Okay. Respect.
Yeah. Ain't no one ever said that.
I mean, no comment. You didn't hear it from me. All right. But I'm personally myself going to give Old English another taste to see how it's going.
Yeah. Again, a lot more mild to me than the Steel Reserve is. What are you giving the flavor? 1 to 10?
I would say that the flavor of this And you can tell, I mean, just by the label that it is a malt liquor. It does kind of have like a little bit more of a beery vibe as far as the flavor goes. Whereas this kind of has like just a sweet vibe on top of like thicker water as far as Steel Reserve goes. Old English, definitely you can tell that there are malt in it, and it's a little bit more prominent as far as the flavor goes, which is not bad in my opinion. Some people might be against malt, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I feel like Old E's got like a bigger dick than Steel Reserve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. You can put it just like that.
Yeah.
Which is ironic though, because Steel Reserve has higher alcohol percentage.
That's right.
But as far as the flavor and the flavor category,
right,
is whipping the schlong on the
exactly. All that.
All that and much malty more.
What do you give the marketing?
Well, I mean, obviously we can recognize it as far as the top 3/4 inch is the same.
Yes.
I would say that the Old English does a good job, especially with the name, of being kind of more of a traditional. They're obviously going for kind of like a tested time and true style vibe, Old English. I know that it's a style of beer, but at the same time, if you're going to put it on your logo as your name, then it obviously means something to you.
Yeah.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess is kind of the mentality that they took here, especially with the labeling. Very simplistic. You can tell between the two, Steel Reserve is a little bit like more new age, more tough and rugged as far as the labeling goes. But Old English is a little bit softer, but more regal at the same time.
Yeah, so this one has gold teeth, this one has 4 teeth.
Yes. And that, more or less exactly what we were just talking, is that you can tell that Old English is going for something that's a little bit classier, even though in the same price and just sales category.
It's like the Dollar Tree versus the Dollar General.
Exactly. It's both $1, but this one's obviously
it's
as
the
far
classier dollar store.
And keep in mind, we are just talking about labeling. This isn't the quality of the brew itself,
right?
But the labeling, a little bit more high class, more regal, simpler, which just adds to its effect. It's a little bit more like hardworking, tough. You got some like cockeyed 211 here that's kind of reminds me of like racing and motocross, whether that be dirt rally or whatever. It's just a little bit tougher vibe coming from the Steel Reserve than it is from the Old English, but they're two respective categories.
Yeah. I also like that they put the crown in the O of the Old English and that the caps are solid gold. Most people don't know that. A lot of people are upset right now because they probably just threw those down on the sidewalk instead of recycling that solid gold cap.
Solid gold is news to me, but I will definitely be holding on to the rim and cap from now on.
Melt that down in your crack pipe.
Yeah, right. And if you have any legal questions, we didn't hear anything from us. So, your what they said.
So, on a scale of 10 marketing?
On a scale of 10 marketing for the Old English, I would say that. I'll probably give it a 7.5 because I myself am a little bit, I appreciate the classy vibe.
Right.
And it is very cut and dry. You only literally have one design. The same crown that's bordering the emblem is the same crown that's in the old. And it's just a nice, appealing and comfortable to the eye gold. But it lets you know that it's cold as the mountains when it's ready.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't jump off the shelf, but it doesn't need to because it's so ingrained in American culture. It's like it's the premier before there was craft brews beer that you could get for like $1 to $2 in a 40 ounce, from the corner market.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, like all the craft brews have invaded and kind of pushed this type of stuff out, but. For the longest time, like that's what you would find. You would find Coors Light, your staples.
Yeah.
Old English in the 40s, though, is the king of the 40s. So it's the king of the 40s.
And I would say that if I was at the store looking for beer, I didn't have a plan in mind, I probably wouldn't come across Old English and be like, oh, wow.
Right.
I would say that if I was going there and I knew what I was looking for, pick it up at pretty much any store, which is also kind of like an under fact, like an underlying fact of these beers, is that regardless of where you are across the whole country, if not around the world in most parts, you can find both these beers
exactly.
in the supermarket.
When Miller Coors owns you, that happens a lot, though.
Yeah, I mean...
they tend to get their shit out there.
But I would say that as far as not standing out, I agree. Because you probably are looking for this beer if you're looking for this beer.
So I'm going to give it a 5.4 on flavor. Like, it's just above average for me as far as this type of beer, especially with the 7.5 considered into it, alcohol percent. Marketing, I'm going to give it probably a 6 just because it's so classic and recognizable. I miss the old glass 40-ounce bottles, the nostalgia.
Can you not find those?
I don't know. If you go to a store in some town that's outside of a major city, you could probably
maybe they've been on the shelf for a while.
If you hit up the Powers Market, shouts out to Powers, Oregon. Look it
Hoorah!
Look it up. Don't look it up.
I mean, you can if you want. You have to zoom in quite a bit.
The Wikipedia page is this long. It's fine.
I will say though that in place of the glass cartridge, they did add 2 ounces.
Yeah. Do you think this will kill more or less killer whales, this bottle?
Probably more, because there'll be more sold. Because it does have 2 extra ounces. I mean, how could you pass it up at the end of the day?
I just want to know, when you're committing a robbery, how are you supposed to hurt anybody with this?
Whoa! Don't shake my beer, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're taking.
It's coming home with me.
Seriously, look at the head volume on that.
Yeah.
Super heads.
No complaints. Thank you. Respects all ladies.
Yeah. It's at least 4 search terms on Pornhub for me that I say right there.
I'm raging right now.
So, what do we got left? We did marketing. We got swigability, which you did not leave enough. So let's
just shook it up.
Let's not get. You want some Steel Reserve in there?
Oh, I mean, we got the swigability on that, but
I'll let you know what the swigability is. Tyler drank his.
Yeah, sorry. I guess that tested to swigability.
Ready? 1 point less than whatever I gave Steel Reserve.
Alright, fair enough. Fair deal.
Chalk it up.
So, but the real question is, why is it 1 point less?
Because that one went down slightly easier, because I feel like this has much more carbonation in it. You still get the little bit of burn.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you still get the little bit of burn like you're chugging a Coca-Cola or something, you know?
Okay. Alright.
So, last but not least, overall, everything considered, marketing, taste, swigability, what are you giving them? Solid gold cap?
I mean, I probably won't give a number, but I will decide which is better.
Okay.
I would say that, in my opinion, for what I see myself doing with these beers, the Steel Reserve would be my first choice.
Okay.
Couple reasons being is that it does have 8.1% over 7.5. So, over 0.5% of more alcohol per volume. Same price.
You do the math.
You do the math. Same price. I would say that the Steel Reserve has a little bit milder flavor, which is nice with this particular quality of beer. And it also has a little bit less effervescence or carbonation in it.
Or yeast farts, if you will.
Or yeast farts, And for those reasons, it's a little bit easier to drink, gets you a little bit higher of a buzz, and isn't as just kind of sour or distasteful as it could be. So I would say, in my opinion, I would probably pick Steel Reserve if I had these 2 options. I
would go the other way, probably because I'm hood rat as fuck. But,
this guy's a rapper.
No, Old English for me had a much better flavor. The percentage of alcohol doesn't necessarily sway me that much, because I feel like it'd be easier for me to chug 2 of these and get blackout drunk and do things I shouldn't. A lot easier than that. There's just not enough rope burns on my hands to be in the Steel Reserve.
So what we should do is we should
0 calluses on these. They're so baby smooth.
So baby smooth. What we should do is, since we pretty much agree on everything but the drinkability
Mm-hmm.
is that maybe we should I'll drink Steel Reserve and you'll drink Old English, and we'll kind of back and forth as to what is it that means.
You want me to drink more of either one?
You know, if we're really going to get down to the bottom of things, I think that because
I'm not an investigator.
We're basically the same, but we have some drinkability differences.
Right.
And it would be nice to kind of talk about that
and
see what it is. I don't remember because it's been one Steel Reserve and Old English since then.
It is interesting how much they fuck you up in a hurry.
There's an 8.1.
We should emphasis on the liquor, all right?
Seriously, I mean, like we mentioned at the beginning of the video, I mean, if you're drinking a Corona or Pacifico, which is one of my favorites, which are standard beers, you'll get half of the alcohol percentage.
All right, but since you're on a time restriction, let's get through it quickly because we have another beer review to do after this of something that most likely tastes much better. Which one was the... We'll just go with the Bridesmaid Cup, fuck it.
Yep,
there might be some Steel Reserve in there, but I think that was the Old E Cup. I'm going to go slightly less than you because it's disgusting.
I'm going to go slightly more because...
alcoholism.
No. But yeah, that's why I slurred that last word.
Cheers, yes. No slurs on here. It gets me demonetized.
I'm going to take a couple little sips and then the chug.
What do you think of your first bird sip?
I would say that it totally piss water. I mean, not that it tastes like piss, but it
tastes like
I guess that's why the water's there. It's like piss with water.
Right.
I mean, the effervescence is nice. It's a little bit milder, and it doesn't bother you going down. And just keeping in mind who and why you're drinking this. That seems like a kudo, in my opinion. A little bit less bubbles in the stomach, and a little bit less flavor. You know, you're probably trying to chug it anywho. That's probably why they made the porn star size cap top.
That's right.
I mean, because
the Mandingo bottle.
Yeah, at least they recognize that you're not necessarily trying to sip Steel Reserve or Old English. You're more or less trying to get it down for some fun times after.
That's right.
You know?
You want it to hit the back of your throat like Debbie does Dallas. Timely reference.
You saw that? Haven't we all?
Who hasn't? What other Bush porn do you watch?
No, seriously, dude, it's on my saved favorites, man. But just forget all that.
Good old Bush porn.
Yeah.
From before when your mom was born.
Yeah. Can we say Bush while we're reviewing these beers? I'm not sure.
I think you have to have a Bush to review these beers. So yeah.
Cheers.
Hopefully you didn't tile floor your shit.
Oh man, we got to cut out. Sorry.
I don't know that we added much to it other than getting drunker before our next beer review, but
yes. I hope this is still in the cut.
So we're gonna call this a tie. They're equally bad, just depending on your preference.
As I'm still drinking it for leisure, I'm like, they're equally bad.
Yeah. I'm doing it because he made me.
Yes.
Cheers again.
If I could count the times.
What I like to do is when I cheers on beers I don't like is pour it into the other cup.
I'm like just finished with mine, worried that he's really gonna do it. Please don't. But I mean, he is sending me home.
The herpes isn't even inflamed at the moment.
He is sending me home with these two fantastic brews.
They're going with you.
Take the hit for this
road beers.
I would say that from my perspective, they're great for what they are, and if you're looking for them for the reason you are, they're probably gonna do you good.
$2.99 at your local Safeway for 42 ounces of getting you fucked up.
Yeah.
You might not even need to, depending on what your level is.
Seriously.
If you're a black belt, you can get 2.
Yeah.
If your nose is purple, you probably want 3.
All I know is that I drink a decent amount of brew, and they usually don't get me going like this did.
Just got me going.
I would say it's probably not what you want to be ordering if you're taking out a lady at the bar. But if you're hanging out by yourself or with your bros, I mean, whatever you choose, you can throw this in a lot. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna slur my words worse than a KKK rally in the 60s.
Dangle, dangle.
Dangle, dangle.
I officially am not a part of this.
What I meant is I was getting drunk. Not that I was going to put out racial slurs.
Okay, sure.
Clarification.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, no racism.
Please don't demonetize me.
That's right. That's right. Sipping on old English.
Sipping on.
You want to take it out? You want to sing a song while you go shed love? What's your
Yeah,
favorite
well,
tune?
yeah, we need a couple of those things you can put in.
One last thing.
there.
Do you have any good stories of you drunk on either of these particular beers?
I would say that I have quite a few stories of beers that are in the same category, but for me, it has primarily been Mickey's.
Okay.
So what I want to see on maybe a future episode is we can do some fun.
We'll definitely do some Mickey's, and you're going to give
Yeah.
me that story. We'll get the dirt.
Tell you what, seriously, there's dirt involved, and it was not pretty. It cost me a lot of
He's
money.
naming
So-
names. AIDS isn't cheap.
Yeah, and my parents and
Whoa,
and
took
my
a turn.
parents and loved ones were involved. So if you want to hear kind of anything that happened, I'm sure you got one yourself. Then definitely tune in for the Mickey's for sure.
Why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? And when you comment, tell me your best Steel Reserve or Old English story.
You know, that would be fantastic. I'm sure that
I'm looking forward to that shit.
I'm sure, and even throwing some Mickey stories in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, we wouldn't be opposed to just hearing them twice on the Mickey's video.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.